Yakmala! Yakmala! Welcome back, my friends, to the cult film Showdown. I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and I am truly pleased to be joined by my good friends. And I have Jack Hall.
Sup?
Sup?
I got Tic Tacs.
Tic Tacs. Well, are they the Coke flavored Tic Tacs?
There's Coke flavored Tic Tacs?
There surely is. Well, let's move on.
They're from like the grape flavor, not grapefruit. So they're from like probably like the when it was pink. They made pink ones for the Women's Breast Cancer Month, like 3 or 4 years ago. That's when they're from.
Okay, well that's good. I was going to suggest that perhaps they were from 1986 when our movie is from, but you know, let's move on and talk to our other friends. So we have James Kata.
When he rattled that thing, I honestly thought he was playing Yahtzee.
Let's, in fact, fuck this podcast. Let's just play Yahtzee.
Yeah. I'm good with that. Let's go online and play Yahtzee somewhere.
I wonder if anyone's doing Yahtzee on Twitch. Get in on that market.
And we have a special treat today. This time we are joined by Nick Boxer, but he's on location as he searches for Brad Dock. He has promised that he would bring Brad in. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing good. If you hear any slurping sounds, I'm having a Mr. Noodle because it's cold up here in the wilds of Alaska.
Ooh, all right.
Alaska, that's where Brad Dock has been missing to.
Freaking cold. Actually, I've discovered he is not here. I'm just freezing my ass off for no apparent reason. Apparently, there was a woman who made love to him, so I'm hot on the trail, but this whore won't give up the info.
She made what to him?
Can you see Russia from where you are?
You know what? Palin is blocking the view. Her land.
Well, today we are here to.
I don't know what you guys heard, but I heard Brad Dock has had sex with Sarah Palin.
Sure, why not? Why not? But
or a family member.
Let's talk about why we're actually here, which is our new season. Season whatever the hell. I don't even know what the hell season this is. James? I know that it's the cannon fodder season, but what number? Yeah.
16.
Or what are we calling it?
16.
Cannon fodder, I believe.
Yeah, cannon fodder was a suggestion, and it's as good a suggestion as any. And so, speaking of canon, that means that we are talking about canon movies, and we all love our good canon movies, the Golan and Globus years, and oh, so much fun. And speaking of fun, we're starting off with the Sam Furstenberg movie, Avenging Force, starring Michael Dudikoff, the good old American ninja. And now, Nick Boxer, would you please explain Avenging Force?
I wish I could explain Avenging Force, but I'm going to give it a try, successful or not. Michael Dudikoff is a good old boy, Bubba type dude, and he has a friend who's running for New Orleans City Council or something. It doesn't matter, because there's a group of evil white supremacists in town, and they are run by a cabal of Nazi ninjas. Now, these Nazi ninjas are, I believe their goal is to take over the world and run a human hunting club. They're not real focused bad guys here. Now, they, in an attempt to take over their world, they kill a family member of Dudikoff's best friend. And, Dudikoff is going, that sucks, but I'm not going undercover to take these guys down yet. So, the bad guys attack again. They end up killing a whole bunch more people. More family members die. Dudikoff's father, I believe, Grandpa Jimmy, dies. Then he's willing to go down undercover. Oh, sorry. I forget. He's still not it isn't until his sister is taken hostage, who in this movie, she is the first thing we see, and I immediately went, you know what? Her name might as well be Hostage. Because she's getting taken hostage, and she does. So Michael Dudikoff goes right undercover, volunteering basically to be hunted by this Nazi ring of white supremacists. And, you know, he takes care of business. That's all I have to say.
So did any other of you ever think, hey, he's going undercover? Because he doesn't.
No.
Does
no,
he?
No, he
No.
does not go
No,
undercover.
and it's
No, he never goes undercover. All of that, and I'm fixated on your repeated mentions of undercover.
No,
that never happens.
They ask him if he wants to go undercover, and he says not yet.
Well, and the truth
and then
is
he never does.
Yeah, well, and that's
never
because the Pentangle, this group this group of whack jobs, is essentially already knows who he is. He can't go undercover if they already know who the hell he is.
Oh yeah,
Which makes it weird that they brought it up at all. Like, what was the story? Why
there's very little avenging or force in this movie, and that's the title. So
there's the whole movie is, let's put it this way, it's silly, it's ridiculous, but the thing about it is, yeah, it's that 80s action B movie action silliness where you go, I'm checking my head at the door, and then all the silliness I'm not going to think about, and you just enjoy it. And man, I had a lot of fun with the movie. I was like, when the movie was over, I was like, man, I like that movie. Like,
you know what I felt
really
like,
enjoyable.
For me, this actually felt like, you know, one of Sam Furstenberg's really more coherent movies.
Oh, no question. No question. There wasn't tons of plot holes. Sure, there's some really, really amazing, like, I can't believe they left that in there. That looks so crappy shots and stuff. But, you know, it's like cheap budget or whatever. But, like, as far as, like, Sam Furstenberg, I mean, it's not, for him, it's not that insane. It's pretty competent.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really threw me, because I've seen quite a few of Sam Furstenberg's movies, and almost all of them have a general insanity in common. So I was really excited to be watching Avenging Force, and make no doubt, I mean, anytime you get Michael Dudikoff, anytime you get Steve James, I mean, I love, you know, Paul Ryan, like, I think he's amazing, but you know, when you get these guys, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's, you know, that was a really good, solid 80s action movie.
Yeah.
Actually, I was wondering why this wasn't American Ninja 3.
Well, in some territories, it was released as American Ninja 2. Makes you feel any better. It was originally supposed to be Missy in Action 2. No, not Missy
Invasion USA.
Invasion USA 2. Yeah.
Which, having seen Invasion USA, this does not feel like it belongs there at all.
It's not a sequel anymore.
No.
Yeah, I wondered how much rewriting they did between those two things, because it doesn't have that same feel. It wouldn't make that much sense as a sequel.
But they still
kept
more sense
the name. American Ninja.
Yeah, like they still kept Matt Hunter as a name.
There's one point
names
where
are the toughest things to come up with.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and when you have a good one like Matt Hunter.
Matt Hunter. Is Matt Hunter a name from something else?
Well, yeah, Invasion USA is the name of the Chuck Norris character.
Oh, okay. No, I got confused because I was thinking I couldn't remember that Joe was the name of Michael Dudikoff in American Ninja.
Yes, that's right.
There's a bit where Dudikoff is looking at a photo of him and his best buddy, Steve James, and I'm fairly certain that the photo he looks at is a still from American Ninja.
It wouldn't surprise me at all, yeah. I mean, Steve James is easy to find in most of these, and there's such a lineage between these. Also, when you get into Delta Force, I mean, John P. Ryan in Delta Force 2 is over the top.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Great villain in Delta Force, yeah.
He's not the villain. He's the general in Delta Force 2. He's not the villain at all. And that's
that's right.
Part.
Here he's the villain.
Right.
Yes, yeah, and
He is the villain. He's
often-
scene chewing as the villain
he
too.
often plays a wonderful villain because he does scene chew so much. But that's why I get excited anytime I see him, because he's got the wild eyes.
He's got the one speech though, like, because it is this. What's it called again? What's the name of the group?
The
great name.
Pentangle.
Pentangle. That's it. So to give people some perspective, this is a far right white supremacist group. And at one point, he turns to the guys during this speech and he says, "I'm proud of you boys." And anybody else get a little bit, like, creeped out?
Oh, there's no doubt when he starts talking about, like, the Mexicans and like them taking over the country and stuff like that. Like, it's pretty spot on for nowadays with the far-right organization.
I'm pretty sure half of these guys were at the Capitol riots. Like, it's unbelievable.
The outfits that they wear are very similar.
Yes.
I was taken by the outfits because we meet what I thought for most of the film was the five heads of the Pentangle, and then, like, late on in the movie they're like, no, that guy that you thought was the fifth member is just, like, hanging out. There's a secret fifth member.
The guy that you thought was the member was apparently the head of security or something like that.
Yeah.
He sure didn't look like a head of security. I actually thought he would have been the accountant.
Yeah, he's the accountant of the Pentangle.
Yeah.
I actually thought for, white supremacist Nazis, they were quite open-minded. I mean, they did practice all sorts of martial arts from other cultures. Mm-hmm. They employed transsexual prostitutes. They employed a whole bunch of New Orleans gutter folk. I thought that for Nazis they were open-minded.
Well, the thing is that yes, okay, so there was a liberal usage of the N-word when it came to Steve James, but I'm not 100% sure that they were like completely neo-Nazi right-wingers.
Didn't our leader say, Hitler got it right in the scene near the end?
Yeah, he mentions that at dinner, that Hitler was on the right track. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Throws up.
I mean, there's also quite a few swastikas laid around, and yeah, I think the one difference from this that puts it as an '80s thing as opposed to what you'd hear now is that communists is where they go.
Yes, the commies are the problem.
The yellow-belted liberals are handing the country to the communists, and
not the
now,
socialists.
Yes, that's right. Now the yellow-belted liberals will be handing it to socialists.
I blame Canada.
But he starts that speech as just like a rah-rah thing, and then, like, very quickly pivots into like a Nazi heavy duty thing pretty fast. They do a salute
which is weird.
It's almost like a Nazi salute, but they're actually like a clenched fist. But about half the people in the crowd do the arm in the air and then, like, their left hand over their, like, left underarm.
Yeah. It was almost like they were either trying to make a farting noise with their arm, or they were trying to, like, do that whole, like, up yours arm motion, and and it was kind of and only like 3 or 4 were doing it the same way in any cluster.
Yeah, it looked like they hadn't been given clear direction, or they had been given they had been given like a variety of types of things. One guy looked like he was just trying to hold his arm up, like he had done this for too long and his arm was tired, like when you're a kid in school.
Like 30 seconds before they shot, one of the guys goes, "Hey, I got an idea." Pretty much.
Everybody
how
do this.
Most of this movie was put together.
Everybody grab their underarm.
Yeah.
Everyone put your hand on your heart. The heart's on the other side. It's too late.
It'll look great. Shoot it. We've got too many people in this room. We need to shoot it. We'll have to feed them.
Yeah, I mean, though, this is like I say, I mean, one of Canada's probably. I enjoyed this more than American Ninja, personally. Put it that way. I think it's one of their most exciting action films.
Michael Dudikoff is such an interesting actor, because you're never actually sure if it's just that this is the way he thinks that he should be acting, or if that is truly his range.
You do get the sense he could jump into karate or dancing at any time in a film. It's a very random element he has.
Michael Dudikoff's delivery is what I'm used to for the actors we see in these movies whose first language isn't English.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, but he's 10 times the actor than the guy who played Grandpa. Like, if there was a flatter delivery I've ever heard in my life, I don't know if I can't think of it.
No, the Grandpa
I
was
was so
really...
disappointed Grandpa didn't get to take out any Nazis.
Yeah,
I always knew he was going to die, but I did not know he'd go out, just without taking anybody with him.
Well, I mean, obviously, Grandpa being Dudikoff's grandpa, you would think he would, be the guy to taught him the karate. Pardon me?
I thought he'd get a cheap shot in.
Yeah.
Stuck under the table or something, but nope, just gone.
Yeah, that's one thing about this film. It's brutal about who it kills.
It's brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Completely.
Yes.
There wasn't a death of a family member that I didn't go, hey, we really need that?
Yeah.
Any time you actually kill children in a movie, it's brutal.
And viciously
and
killed like
one.
one.
It's brutal. It's not like, oops, we nicked him and he died. But no.
Yeah, the first one you could almost say it's like he just got the first time the 11-year-old got killed. You'd be like, oh, he got caught in the crossfire, maybe, I guess. The second one, they just come right up to a kid who from the fall should have already been dead, but wasn't, and just shoot him. They just shoot this kid who's like 5, and it's brutal.
And they get you involved with the kid. You kind of like him by the time they kill him that one.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Well, because moments before he saved in the fire, like really heroically saved from a fire, by Dudikoff and James, and you're like, it's like, and he's like, don't let my son die, and Dudikoff breaks him out and takes him there, and you're like, and then they just shoot him. They just throw him off a roof. He lives somehow, and then they shoot him.
Did anyone else have a little bit of a problem with Steve James dying when he did? We're an hour into this movie, just about the time you're going, okay, Michael and Steve are going in American Ninja style. This is ramping up, and then all of a sudden, what I thought was one of the heroes of our movie just died.
Well, he had a heroic death, though, so I could see it.
I don't. Maybe I was just looking forward to Steve James being hunted by these guys, but I don't know.
It's still structurally it's still weird because if you're gonna kill him, you could have just killed him at the beginning. But I guess you needed something. You needed something for the second act.
Yeah.
Because it's a revenge film at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I guess it's. I mean, when it first started, that was one thing I was really caught off guard because I'm like, oh, what is it, most dangerous game or whatever, Yeah, I'm like, it's gonna be that whole movie. I'm like, that's great. I love those movies. There's 100 of them, but I love them. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens that has nothing to do with the game before they actually get to the game, which doesn't last very long. By the time Dudikoff gets in there, he just takes them right out.
To be fair, the actual game must have been the most horrendous shoot ever. That whole sequence when he's being hunted is all in rain. That would have been cold. It would have taken a long time.
It took 2 weeks apparently. It was a 2-week shoot, and Dudikoff came out of it full of cuts and bruises and everything you can imagine. So yeah, I'm sure he was glad it wasn't.
It looked good, but I can't imagine that being pleasant.
No, it wouldn't be pleasant. Like I say, he didn't have a good time. That wasn't the funnest 2 weeks.
Yeah, no doubt.
Want to get to scoring?
Can I ask
one
last?
About the math.
Oh wait, you're going to ask what did this film teach you? You're about to ask that?
Yes.
You
Yes, I
lie.
was. So they're a secret society with secret leaders. But at one point, they say that the Steve James character, the reason they're mad at him is because he prevented them from buying land to set up their hunting humans base.
Which they have anyways.
Really made me question the level of secret that they are.
Well, I'm like, how did he prevent them? He's running for senator, but he's not the senator yet. The young guy is the senator.
I think they say he's on the city council then,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
he's running for. I think it's state senate, but don't quote me on that.
Oh, let's face
I
it.
will.
Any positions in government here are very confusing because, I'm not even 100% because I think Michael Dudikoff was a secret service agent.
Yes.
And
Yeah, they
his
say that the
boss
two of them.
seemed to be CIA.
They say that both of them were Secret Service agents, but the photo of them together is in the military. So,
Mm-hmm.
It's American.
so
infantry,
anyone's
that's
guess.
Yeah. What? So what did this film teach you? Anybody teach anybody anything?
Some gimp masks don't have noses.
Some don't. Yes, that's a good point. I learned that an arrow
know
through the
that
leg
before
will
now.
heal in 2 weeks.
I was gonna say that exact same thing. Like, yeah, totally an arrow through the leg, fleshy part of the leg, stuff like that, and a good arrow, not like just a just a
clean
little,
through.
yeah, and
One side to the other.
yep, and totally fine in 2 weeks.
It takes 2 weeks to heal from that. And if you pull it out, you just pull it right out the thicker side instead of the. That's how you do it. All right, I'm ready to go to scoring.
Yes, sounds good.
All right. In our search for the ultimate B movie, we rate each film in 5 categories. None of these categories is objective quality. The first one is called Schlock Appeal, and we start with Stan.
I was really expecting heavy schlock out of this, and so I think that when I just basically got a good solid action movie out of it, I was kind of a little disappointed. It doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy watching the movie, but it wasn't quite the Ninja 3 or Deadly Prey perhaps that I was hoping for. So I'm only going to give it a 7.
Yeah, well, I think I'd go exactly where the American Ninja series goes for Schlock. But you're right. It's a 7. You'd love to go high, but it doesn't have that gross line that real Schlock has. It's fun.
It doesn't. Again, it's not a schlocky, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's appealing in that way. But it's not as schlocky as films that we've seen in the past or we'll see
with
in
a
the
real
future.
movie either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I also had a 7 on this.
It's time to express it.
I didn't actually hear Nick's number there.
He had a 7.
Yeah, 7. All right.
Yes, 7s across the board so far.
All right. I will. I'll say it's not quite as schlocky as that. 6 for me. I think. I think there's points for the deadliest prey, hunting the deadliest prey, and the weird outfits. But overall, yeah, it's an action film and does actiony things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
More heart than budget. What I saw, $4 million. This is where Jack tells me he saw $47 million.
Yeah, I didn't see anything but 4 million.
All right, $4 million.
Well, $4 million. Given that, I mean, honestly, this really could have been shot with the leftovers from American Ninja. So it's kind of like just hiring the people to be in it. And yeah, it's not even like there's a whole lot of gunfire and stuff like that. They basically burned down a house. I can only go with a 6. Nick can only go with a grunt.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking. I was going to go with a 6 too, but No, I'm gonna up at one for a 7, but that's just not to agree with you twice in a row.
Okay. So, I mean, we're on the same level, though. I mean, I'm like, it's really, as far as like what you're seeing on screen, it's about the level of every 80s B movie, action film, or even TV show. Like the stunts and the things you see aren't any greater than you would watch in, an episode of the A-Team or something. So, I mean, it's like there's nothing really spectacular. There's nothing where I'm like just full of heart. But on the other hand, they did build, like they did. Okay, they burned down the house, but they built the house to burn down and stuff like that. So that's a little bit of effort. So I'll give it a 7.
I'm going to go in at a 6. I will compliment the big set piece of the movie is actually like 10 or 15 minutes in. It's when Steve James' family gets attacked at a Mardi Gras float.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of the like
2 days to film that.
Yeah, it's a big scene. I was curious enough that I actually like tried to figure out on Google Maps where that was, and because New Orleans really doesn't change that much. Those buildings are probably 100 years old. But it's a neat piece. It's like it's a shootout in an intersection in the French Quarter. It's quite well done. And then they burn down a house, but I mean, who doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
6 for me as well. What the fuck moments?
This is one of those cases where I thought for sure that we were going to be, great in what the fuck territory because of the fact that honestly, when I saw like what looked like Cobra villains on screen, because you had a guy who was like Crocmaster with the mask on and like and the claw, and then the white face guy with the samurai swords, and then you get John P. Ryan wearing the like really crazy like dragon mask, and the other guy who I actually thought was Dudikoff for a bit, and like those right there were like, well, that's what the fuck, and then they take them off and start explaining it, and it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. You talked about the Mardi Gras thing, and it was very interesting because like there were so many people, and then there was the fight, and then the streets were cleared, which I was amazed by, and then about 30 seconds afterwards, the streets are like chock full again. There was actually a couple of shots of people like woohoo having a party. Meanwhile, like there's been a shooting half a block away. So they did a good job of coming back out after that. There was lots of winking in the early part of the movie, which I noticed. That was really freaking weird. It was just
everyone's winking at everyone.
Yeah, it's like a lot of guys winking at guys, like, yeah, I see you. Uh-huh. The end, when Dudikoff goes to the admiral and kind of intimates that he was the 5th member, and he's just like, yeah, the Pentangle says that they're just getting started, so am I. And it was kind of like, really? What? Like, it just seems so out of place given the way that everything else had played out. And obviously, I would suggest it was setting up a sequel that unfortunately we'll never get. But I'll give this one a 6.
Yeah, the ending was huge for me because, they're setting it up, but he just sort of, oh, neither am I, and just walks off, and the credits go right over his face. Like, boom. That was very what the fuck for me. Also, could they not afford a 4th mask? Because you described the 4 bad guys, and 3 of them have really cool masks, and the guy that everyone I'm sure got confused with Michael Dudikoff, the 4th member of the Cabal. He gets a bandana. Nothing else. Everyone else has a fancy mask. I thought that was a strange choice. That, and we also talked about the big Mardi Gras scene, face-off, shootout, chase scene. Michael Dudikoff does a beautiful climb up this 2-story building, but all I could think of was isn't that the easiest way to get killed? Because he's going up right where the shooter should be. All the shooter has to do is stay where he is to kill Michael. I thought it was because he was totally vulnerable there. I thought that was weird. Yeah, but not over the top. I'm going with a 5.
I got a little bit higher because first off, that mask that John P. Ryan is wearing is like
nonsensical.
It's like the most ridiculous thing ever. What's that?
It's Merman from He-Man, definitely.
Merman,
traditional Mardi Gras, really. Like it's
and he does tend to affect some sort of New Orleans accent.
Yes, he does attempt to affect some sort of New Orleans accent, and that mask is just not the type of mask that a killer would wear. It's like if it's Mardi Gras, if it's intended to intimidate your opponent, it doesn't. It just looks silly. So it deserves a little bit. You mentioned the Mardi Gras parade, how there's like tons of people, and then everybody scatters, and the streets are completely empty. There is nobody anywhere.
Nobody. Yep.
The next morning, they show a bunch of photographs of Michael Dudikoff from the exact moments when there's nobody there to take the picture. There was nobody around, and those are the moments when they have multiple pictures and camera angles of him from all sorts of different places, and they've managed to get it within 24 hours or less. To me, that was WTF. But when the kid falls off the roof and it's obviously a dummy, I laughed out loud.
It's very true because he bounces and all the wrong way.
It's clearly they only had one take because I think Dudikoff did he did most of his own stunts. I'm pretty sure that was him. It looked like him. So he takes this dummy, this supposed to be this 5-year-old kid or 6-year-old or whatever. And first the thing, he's supposed to clearly land and roll and protect the dummy, but he accidentally instead rolls too far and lands with his full weight right on top of the dummy. Bam! Then they bounce off that. That's off the first floor. And then they bounce to the ground, and the dummy just lands with this thud. And it's like any kid that age would be completely dead. I could not stop howling at that. It just looks so ridiculous and so fake. And speaking of so fake, Dudikoff and the obvious stunt double that did the fighting for John P. Ryan with a wig, a white wig that was like so much thicker and bigger than his actual hair. It just looks so out of place.
At least it was the right color.
So obviously not. It was the right color, but so obviously not him. So I got a 7 on this.
It was like a dyed afro. It was like so different than his hair. The thing I want to add to that great fall off the roof, because I also thought that whole thing was so hilarious, is that they're not trying to kill Michael Dudikoff. John Ryan gives the order, I want him alive. So they shoot him in the leg and he falls off a 2nd-story building. I'm like, that was the take him alive plan? Because it feels like the kill him plan.
both of which are easy enough to fix in under 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, he's fine. He's fine 2 weeks later. But hey, don't worry about it. He probably would have been dead, but luckily he landed on the kid.
Well, and if you look at the Mardi Gras scene at the beginning, when Steve James grabs the first kid, it actually looks like he's using the kid as a shield.
Oh, that's right. Well, what got me was he's got his wife beside him and his kid beside him. He gets down and he uses his one arm to grab his wife. His other arm to grab his kid, he does not use. So he basically saves his wife's life and leaves the kid up there. And I'm like, dude, that was crazy.
Like, right choice.
They were all going to die anyway, so it didn't really matter.
True. The wife also died brutally.
Yes.
Yeah. unnecessarily violently. The outfit, I love Stan's comparison to Cobra from G.I. Joe for those outfits. Especially the bald guy.
Oh,
who
yeah.
I know we've seen him in other films. I know he's shown up in other films. Who is dressed in like this bondage type outfit. I'm like, these guys are Bond type villains, and they are dressed like Eyes Wide Shut. It's such a weird choice.
True. And he's said to be one of the top martial artists in the world. And meanwhile,
I forgot that. Thank you for reminding me. They do not say he's one of the top martial artists in the world. They say in something that sounds tougher than it really. It sounds like a tough guy competition, and it's not. They say that he is a world champion Ironman competitor.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Ironman competitors are swimmers.
swimmers,
do not fight.
And marathon.
They run marathon, they bike, and they swim, so they all look like swimmers.
I did catch that too, but I kind of figured there must be some sort of other Ironman competition.
The Pentangle.
One I knew.
The Pentangle has their own Iron Man competition.
That it's not clear until almost the very end that there's a secret fifth member of the Pentangle.
I missed it, by the way, somehow. So when that whole scene happened at the end, I went, there was a fifth member?
Well, it's the Pentangle. It's 5. So they say that it's representative
Really,
of 5 leaders.
I called it out way early that his boss was a member.
That guy who was this boss, by the way, that played the Ambro, James Booth, also wrote the film.
Oh, nice.
Nice, yeah. I also really loved one of the guys in the agency and his mustache, which was really like fancy and kind of went up at the sides. It was just like he looked like a villain.
Mustaches that curl upward always makes you look like a villain.
Yeah,
This is a fact.
The center, like, second act peak of this film is that they lure Steve James to what is obviously a setup. Like it couldn't possibly be more of a setup. They're like, we want to interview you for this news program. Please go to this intersection in an industrial area.
And he's told this is obviously a setup.
And then they drive there. Not only did they not bring weapons, not only did they not think to get weapons, Steve James doesn't even bring a shirt.
he took the shirt off because he was getting ready
for this. That they are.
Well, they talked about, do you have a piece? Nope.
They do, but I mean, at no point did they weren't there. Like they.
The other thing is,
the southern U.S.
Only do they not
the corner store carries guns.
Yeah, not only do they not have guns or get guns, but when they beat up with their martial arts, a guy with a gun, until the very last moment of the battle, they leave every single one of those guns behind.
And that happens throughout the movie.
Dudikoff does that in the whole final section too. He's
a sword. There's a crossbow.
He's fighting 4 guys individually, and he declines to take any of their weapons with him.
Up until the very
end.
One guy's
wallet, but doesn't take the knife right beside it.
Yeah, exactly. He took his wallet for reasons. Actually, that was one of the weird moments when I still thought that the accountant guy who gets killed earlier was the 5th member. Is that they open up the wallet and there's a photo of the 4 members of the Pentangle. I'm like, was this guy so unpopular they didn't even bring him in group photos?
He wasn't invited to the fishing trips and stuff. Yeah, poor guy.
The 4 of the 5 members of the Pentangle.
And really, the confusing part of that photo too was the fact that it doesn't have the 5th member, who apparently is super secret even to the Pentangle.
Yeah, it's.
Well, I actually had a question about the Pentangle. They say they only really know of the group because they've discovered bodies from the hunting trip marked with the symbol of the Pentangle. Do we ever see the symbol
no.
in the movie? I didn't.
Well, a pentangle is the same as a pentagram. So,
yeah,
but if that were the case, you would just call them pentagram. Because pentangle is not a common word.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
So yeah, like I said, with that whole secret society thing, it varies throughout the film how secret they actually are. They could put bids down on property, but but no one knows their names. I don't know.
Yeah, this one guy is able to stop all the investigations to the point where they can attack people in broad daylight and shoot a bunch of people at a parade, leave no evidence behind that could be found. Like I know this was before like the the security was tightened as much as it is now, but for national security. But come on, this is a little ridiculous.
Oh, you do get the sense these attacks didn't even make the news.
Well, they did say to cover things up, to make sure that none of it got out.
Oh yeah. I know it was before social media, but come on now. Come on.
Well, and they managed to apparently the Secret Service managed to keep it away from the FBI as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like as we've gone, maybe my score should go up.
It does feel like
that.
Making sense yes. No, bump me up one.
Bump you up to a 7 there. Huh. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go an 8. I was gonna go 7, but yeah, it makes even less sense as we talk it out. Memorable moments.
I think the interesting thing for this is that as much as I'll probably remember like the masks and the look of the villains, and maybe a little bit of like John P. Ryan and of course Michael Dudikoff, but it feels so much like at the end of watching 4 American Ninjas and anything else that Michael Dudikoff does, there's not going to be a whole lot of like, which one was Avenging Force again? It'll be like, I don't remember that one very well, but mostly because it's just pretty consistent. I mean, we've talked about it a lot now and torn it apart pretty well, but it still remains pretty consistent. I can only give it a 5.
I have to go lower. I'm going way low, basement low with a 3, just because it's not even the most memorable movie starring Steve James and Michael Dudikoff.
That is rough.
That is, yeah. I think that New Orleans scene will stick with me pretty good. And so the rest of it, it's like, how much do I remember American Ninja? Not a whole ton, just a little bit. And I'll probably remember about the same. But I think that one set piece, yeah, the parade will be lodged in my memory and stand out. So I'll give it a 6.
Yeah, I think the parade's the only thing that's not going to blur into being an American Ninja movie for me. I think I'm sure that we will do all of the American Ninja series before we're done of this. So
seems likely.
I think that most of it will end up in the part of my brain that's in charge of American Ninja.
I'm ready for an all Dudikoff season.
There's still so much to get into, and I'm sure that you could pick almost any Dudikoff movie at random and it would work.
Yes.
Only a 5 for me. Final category is crazy concept.
Well, you speak about the Dudikoff factor, and he definitely brought the Dudikoff factor to this one. It feels like American Ninja was a supposed sequel to Invasion USA, and has elements of the plot of Deadly Prey. So it's really hard. But the one thing I'll really say about this is that for the most part, it just seemed like if there was a good way to kill somebody, they would always eschew it to go for the way that Michael Dudikoff would punch and kick a lot more. There was always going to be a fight scene, even if he could have pushed the guy off the roof right off the bat. So I'm going to go with a 4.
Sorry, I forgot what category is this?
Crazy concept.
Oh, crazy concept. Yes. No. I'm going to give it some points for being a sequel to a movie that didn't have any of the stars from the first movie in the movie.
But it isn't a sequel. We established it was written as a sequel, but they decided to not make a sequel.
Isn't that concept?
Sure, that's concept.
No, but I'm not going high anyway on this because once again, well, let's make an American Ninja movie, but we're tired of those. So let's just make one and not call it American Ninja. I didn't think the concept was unique at all.
Well, there was only one American Ninja movie out at the time that this came out.
I looked it up. There were two, but or released. I don't know. It's just a generic action film that they had some weird shit in. And I don't think before filming they really thought about any of the stuff that doesn't make sense. I'm only gonna go with a 4 anyway.
The funny part about this is there's so many movies that came out within a 10-year period that pretty much has this exact same plot. This was after some of them, and it was before some of them. I'm only giving it a 3. I mean, it is generic action film. There's nothing crazy here. I'm only giving it a 3, and that's with me bumping it up for 1 score for the fact that Hard Target, which came out in 1993, is the exact same plot. Even takes place in Louisiana. The exact same plot. Not sort of the same. The exact same.
It's like they had given John Woo that his notes. Like, you should make a film like Avenging Force. Like, okay, I'll just make Avenging Force.
Yeah, basically.
Like, no, that's not what we meant. Like, I'm too late. I'm already making Avenging Force. I'm only going with a 4 as well. I think I think the weirdest part of the film is that it is structured as if it should be a revenge film and becomes like a Rescue the Maiden movie in the third act. Like, the reason he's going up against the bad guys is really to save his sister. It's not to avenge his friend, which makes the whole avenging part of the title weird.
Saving Force would have been a good title.
Yeah. Rescue Team.
Rescue Dude.
I was also stuck through the whole movie that it's called Avenging Force, and thinking of like Delta Force, I thought it's like a team of people who avenges, which it was like also messing me up.
Too.
But 4 for me is what I'm ended up at. And this film does tick in at 104 minutes, so it gets penalized for running over the magic 95, which
it was a long movie.
Gives it a final total of 56 out of 100, which ties it with Cherry 2000 and Omega Cop.
Fun piece though. One of the thugs was played by Kane Hodder.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah. This is he was one of the guys burned in the fire. It was his second fire stunt ever.
Very interesting.
Of course, he's got the record for that.
Well then, Kane Hodder, Friday the 13th. If people don't know, he was Jason in about 6 of the films.
Yeah, 5 or 6. Yeah.
How many
I think
people
in
have
6,
made it
7,
this
8,
far in the
9.
past would not know who Kane Hodder is? You gotta know our demographic.
So there's always a chance. Maybe we'll poll the audience or something. All right. Cherry 2000. There you
go. All right. Well, let's see now. Why don't we do some business?
I think it was 4. I think it was only 4 movies. I think it was just 6 through 9. Because Jason X or 10, that was not him. Was it? Oh, okay. No, it was. Yeah, that was him.
It was. Yeah.
So that's 5.
5. Yeah, but he didn't do Freddy Jason. That was the next one.
Freddy Jason's the one which you didn't do. That's right. Yeah. So 5.
Yeah, 5. All right. We are on Instagram, the Cult Film Showdown. We are on Patreon at the Cult Film Showdown, where you can support this magical mystery tour we're on, searching for the ultimate B movie. And we are sponsored by WeTalkPodcast.com. Their website is our home, and that's where also the home of the Octagon, where we keep track of this search that is now.
Can we rename it after this to the Pentagon or whatever that was?
the Pentagonal.
Yeah, rename the Octagon to the Pentagonal.
I think Octagon is already 3 better than a Pentagonal.
Well, we can't change the name to Pentagonal until I find Brad.
That's right. We don't have quorum.
So you're continuing the search next week, is what you're saying.
That's I didn't realize until just now that we are a pentangle with one secret member.
And we could pass for accountants.
That's right.
Okay,
There you go.
well, next episode of Cannon Fodder, we are talking Hard Rock Zombies, which is absolutely not a Michael Dudikoff action movie. So yeah, we're going to talk about that, and that should be some very interesting talking. So, I don't know if anybody has anything else to say about this wonderful Avenging Force movie, but we can. Why don't we go and get ready for Hard Rock Zombies? Sound good? All right, sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
So, for Jim and for Jack,
Give him the rock and roll single.
and for
Give him the devil's horn.
and for Nick, I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and thanks for listening to the cult film Showdown.
It began with a celebration, shattered by brutal violence, until Michael Dudikoff, star of American Ninja, became the Avenging Force.
What happened? I missed. Gentlemen, Captain Manhunter, one of the best agents my department ever had.
He's the only one who can oppose a deadly brotherhood.
They have a hunting club.
What?
A hunting club. Except they don't hunt animals. They hunt men.
Bring him down.
Now, in the ultimate form of pure savage combat, they are the hunters. And he is the target. In the final confrontation, the deadliest enemy meets the Avenging Force. Avenging Force. When getting even just isn't